Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you may be. This is the overnight. Every time I play one of the intros that I have not updated, I realize I forgot to update it. Then I forget. With me tonight is Baron SVG. How you doing, Baron?
Doing good. Interesting topic tonight.
Yes, hopefully. I don't know. It's something that I came across the YouTube video that was talking about it. Um, Back in, I think, April or May-ish, earlier this year, Indiana expanded their castle doctrine a little bit to include public servants. Um, I've got in the description. There's a link to some of the stuff that I used to reference this. There's a link to the uh, Indiana's castle doctrine itself, and then a link to article that I'll be referencing here in just a little bit. Um, but in a nutshell, from the Indiana state's website, the policy of the state, as enshrined in code blah blah blah, declares that an individual has the right to protect his or her home from unlawful intrusion and to defend themselves and third parties from physical harm and crime. Therefore, you have the right to protect yourself or third party with the use of deadly force without the duty to retreat if you believe that the force is necessary to prevent or terminate the other person's unlawful entry into your dwelling or occupied motor vehicle. Moreover, you may use deadly force without the duty to retreat if you reasonably believe that such force is necessary to prevent a deadly attack or serious bodily injury to yourself or another person. Under Indiana law, you may also use deadly force to prevent the commission of a forcible felony, one that involves the use of physical force or violence against any individual, resulting in great bodily harm or permanent disability. These laws are sometimes known as stand your ground laws or the castle doctrine. Um, so, I didn't. There's one little piece that I didn't make a note of that I meant to make a note of, but that's all right. So what they did was expand it to include um, public servants, and the part that they added is a person is justified using reasonable force against a public servant if that person reasonably believes the force is necessary to, one, protect the person or third party from what the person reasonably believes to be imminent use of unlawful force, two, prevent or terminate public servants' unlawful entry of or attack on person's dwelling, curtilage, or
Ooh, curtilage.
or occupied motor vehicle. Three, prevent or terminate the public servant's unlawful trespass on or criminal interference with property lawfully in the person's possession, lawfully in the possession of the members of the person's immediate family, or belonging to a person whose property the person has authority to protect. Um, there's a little bit more, but that's kind of the main part that we're going to be talking about. Um, and I agree with it. That's, you know, it's the I went back when I was first thinking about it, when I first started looking into it. I kind of went back and forth, not sure, but that's what the Constitution, that's what the Second Amendment is there to protect um, yourself from tyranny, and that's kind of tyranny if a public servant is unlawfully um, attacking you or your property.
Yep, exactly. I'm surprised this wasn't already a thing.
Well, it addressed.
Or they're just clarifying.
Yeah, it addressed the part of there was a Indiana state Supreme Court ruling that you did not have a right, basically did not have a right to defend yourself against the police, even if they're doing something unlawful.
Shit.
Yeah. So
that's bad.
This was kind of to take care of that. One of the state representatives put it, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, that if you came home and a cop was raping your wife, the only thing you can do is sue them.
You get out your rape whistle, see if that works.
Yeah. Jan Kitty is asking, is this coming from a news article? There was a YouTube video that I saw a couple days ago, and the Stand Your Ground law was passed in 2016, and then I think it was 2016. They're saying 2012, and then this is basically an amendment to that I thought was earlier this year. I looked into it. But in any case, it's more of the topic, the idea of it that caught my interest. 2012. So the Indiana State Fraternal Order of Police made a statement about it.
I bet they did.
Yeah. And let's see, it says police officers in Indiana are speaking out against the new law that gives citizens the right to use deadly force to protect themselves against public servants who overstep this authority. Tim Downs, the president of the Indiana State Fraternal Order of Police, say the law, signed in March by Governor Mitch Daniels, but is only now getting attention, might give people the impression they can shoot police with impunity. It's just a recipe for disaster, he tells Bloomberg.
A guy might want a wake-up call. Bad guys shoot at cops anyway. It's a dangerous job.
Yeah, that's...
if you don't want to get shot at, maybe don't do that job.
So, this might have been... Jan Kitty is saying the bill was passed in 2006 and updated in 2012. And the article is from around 2015. That could be.
Or fake news.
Well, it's not fake news.
We actually recorded this podcast 6 years ago.
The more I thought about it, the more I agree with it. Um, if, especially in the light of, there seems to be, and I have not crunched the numbers. Like this week, I've been watching the trial of Aaron, an officer that shot and killed a lady. He was just convicted, and he hasn't been sentenced yet. But they got a call about the possible burglary at a house, and so there were Dean. Yeah, that's right, Aaron Dean. Thank you. And the two officers went to the house, and um, Officer Dean was moving around in the back of the house and saw someone come to a window, and he shot and killed her. He said he saw a gun pointing at him, and he shot and killed her. And they had not announced themselves to the people in the house. They were in the backyard. So the lady that was shot did not know they were police in the backyard. Her mother was in the hospital, and she was watching her nephew. And so went to a jury trial, and he was convicted of manslaughter. There are a whole lot of details on how it came about, but there seems to be more cops that are being put on trial, and part of it, it seems to be, is because there's body cameras now.
Yeah.
So it's not just
and cell phones.
Yeah, it's not just the officer's word on what happened. Because there's if you look into like the First Amendment auditors and stuff, and those lawsuits, it'll be the cell phone footage, body cam footage, and then there's the officer can lose their qualified immunity because it's a violation of the Constitution. Like I said, I haven't looked into the numbers, so I don't know if it's just another thing where this is kind of stuff that has always happened. It's just it didn't get the press, or if it is happening more now. That's one thing that I've wanted to do for a while, is a chat on modern policing, and have somebody here, an officer, to give us some insight into stuff. But I don't want it to be, when I've kind of gone through it in my head, I don't want it to be asking them to justify somebody else's actions. And that's kind of my fear, where it'll just become people piling on, telling them, well, this happened. Why did you do that? It's not them that did it.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair.
I would hope that if we had a cop on and we're like, hey, if you come home and a cop's raping your wife, can you shoot him? He would say, yes, you should be able to shoot him. If he tried to defend that, then we might pile on him. Like, he won't hurt her that bad. He's just raping her. Call the cops. It'll be fine.
Michael Dunn was saying it's because of George Floyd.
I would have figured it was Breonna Taylor case, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Woods is asking if Washington has castle doctrine. I don't think we do have anything in law that you can For Washington State, you can use necessary force, basically equal force.
To protect people, not things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What there is a little bit in the, and I don't remember the law specifically, but I think there is a little bit for protecting property, but it's not specifically a castle doctrine, and we don't have like Michael Dunn was saying his state, they have a duty to retreat. Washington doesn't.
Yeah,
So
like somebody's
there can be nothing where a state just doesn't care. There can be a duty to retreat, so you have to run away if you're being attacked. Right? There's a duty to retreat. Stand your ground is the opposite of duty to retreat. So that means you do not have any requirement to run away before you defend yourself. And castle doctrine is stand your ground in your home or hotel room, vehicle, depending on the state. So some places can have partial castle doctrine because it's okay in your house, but it's not okay in your vehicle, or it's okay in your house in a hotel, but not when you're walking down the street. Stand your ground. There are some partial stand your grounds, but that would be like you can stand your ground unless there's an opportunity to run away or something, right? Like, so that's my definitions of it.
Yeah, and um, as it pertains to the Indiana law, it really got me thinking about, the if an officer is doing, basically comes in, kicks down your door, and starts roughing up people because they feel they can, because they're a cop. That's shooting a cop is shooting somebody is a serious thing, but shooting the cop, you're shooting part of the state. And so this law would protect you some, hopefully, if you're in the right. If you're, and the what the police union was saying, because the police unions will make statements about, they made statements about the constitutional carry states,
yeah,
where they don't like it because they don't, because everybody will have a gun and they don't know who has a gun, and so
that's how it always was. You dumb fucks.
What? That's the problem with the gun laws. How is this law going to stop somebody from doing what they're already doing? It won't.
Yep.
It only, it's like they say about locks. Locks only keep honest people out. So law-abiding citizens who want to stay law-abiding will follow these laws, but if they're not law-abiding, they don't care about the laws. So they're going to continue doing whatever they want. But now those law-abiding citizens are more vulnerable to the criminals.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding the article. I'm finding stuff like from years ago, and I'm finding stuff from 5 days ago. So I don't know if they updated the old law recently or if we got duped.
Well,
but either way, the topic's still relevant.
Yeah. Just looking a little farther in this article is from The Week, and they don't have a date on this one.
I have the same. Well, I have another article from The Week. It's from 2015.
Oh. So this is old news, but new news for us.
Title of the article is "The Indiana Law That Lets Citizens Shoot Cops." It's got an old guy with a double barrel.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
So I wonder why this popped up. Because both you and I saw this video in our feed. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it. You did. Do you know what channel it was?
I don't. It wasn't anybody that I've watched before. It just the topic kind
So
of
if
caught my
you
attention.
let's pick on whoever's out there. Woods, like if Woods is looking at a video and you guys are both friends of Woods, then it'll probably recommend a video that Woods liked, right? That Woods watched more than 30 seconds of. That's how they can tell if you like something. So you don't have to necessarily be interested if your friend, if you're, because it's all about groups and it's testing and evaluating. So if, or me, like if I go watch something on this channel, and that's why I specifically watch things on different channels. So if I watch something on this channel and it's different than what y'all have watched, but whatever the logarithm thinks that you might like it, you're all going to get recommended it. And if 3 of you watch it for more than 30 seconds, maybe 10 people will get recommended it. You know, it's one of those kind of things. Also,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. How often do you see guitar tuning stuff?
Never.
Have you ever, oh, you don't? I see guitar tuning stuff all the time. And I figure it's a combination of hanging around DJ, and I think Barbecue looks at that stuff sometimes, and a couple other people. And then
I do.
like so then if I wander too long at an auction, I think, and look at a guitar thing at an auction too long, like when I'm doing the pot of gold auctions, anyway, I figure it probably thinks, well, you know, there's a 33% chance this guy might look at a guitar thing. Or, you know, he hasn't yet, but if we keep poking him a guitar thing every 3 months, maybe he'll start buying guitar stuff. Because I think they're preying on us like that.
Yeah,
We
there
are
was
fake news.
well, we're just old news.
No, I found
I think somebody just looked at it recently, and because 3 people looked at it in your group, it got fed to y'all.
I found the thing,
I don't think
and it talks about the governor that signed it into law. It's not the governor of Indiana anymore. It's one of the past ones. So this is an old story that popped up recently. I don't know why it popped up.
Jankity says there was a tweet that was put out 4 days ago, and it's kind of brought all this back up. That's possible.
There you go.
Just in, communists have taken over Seattle. Like, huh? Again?
Well, that's one of the reasons I try to, I mean, it's not specifically, but that's an extra perk of one of the reasons I do the looking back at things in history, you know, anniversaries of things like when a ban happened or when a bill ended or started and stuff, just you know, that's part of it for humans. I mean, just to remind people, remind our brains that it's something that we have to, you know, that's in our past and that we have to remember it or nothing, but it's in our past if we choose to use it in a conversation, you know, it's there. But yeah, it's sort of like the same thing with the logarithms and stuff. So you can do that intentionally. Go back to your own videos or go back to something you think is important. And basically, I would open up 2 tabs, have the thing you think is important, and then start posting scheduled posts on your different platforms 6 months out, 8 months out, you know, so many regular time frames out into the future, and you can keep something alive intentionally like that.
Well, now that we know
there was back during the Floyd riots, there was I'm pretty sure it was in Minnesota. There was a group of police who were driving around in unmarked vans. I think there was a curfew, is why they were doing this, but it was an unmarked van, and they were shooting pepper balls at people. There was a guy who was standing with a group of guys standing around their cars in a parking lot, and the cops shot at them, and one of the guys grabbed his Draco and shot back at the cops because he thought he was getting shot at. And he I think he was arrested for it, but he was all the charges were dropped against him because the cops were doing something that I believe they got in trouble because, you know, they're driving around in an unmarked van shooting at people out of the van. So there is
like something a van would do. I don't like how the van got all tied up in all this.
They should really ban those things.
No,
sliding doors. Who needs a sliding door?
I mean, they should do that in a station wagon. Vans are fine perfectly
Clearly, that's meant for drive-bys. It's not for
doing
carrying
this,
kids.
They should be doing that now. Stationary.
But so, there have been other cases where people have been exonerated for defending themselves against police that were doing something wrong.
Breonna Taylor's boyfriend got off, and he actually almost killed a cop.
So that's the more I thought about it, I agree with the law. It doesn't mean you can just randomly shoot at cops. If you do something wrong, then you get punished for it. And it seems to be with the police training that they are quicker to shoot because any perceived threat, then they shoot. That's it's simplification of the things that I've heard from police. I'm watching different videos and stuff. So whether that's an actual threat or not, if they perceived it as a threat, then
you ever seen their training systems where like they put the guy in a room and they give him like a laser gun and they have him watch a video and be like,
Sure, done those a bunch.
You're doing a traffic stop, and if you feel like your life is in threat, then take out the threat. And then, like, it's just like some guy, I'm getting my ID, and they shoot you in like half a second. So, I mean, they're trained to have to be fast to react. It's like hammered into them. Did I freeze or did Foss freeze?
Those things exist, but they're not inexpensive and they're only as effective as they can be. So they might be useful for some element of something, but they're hardly running cops through there in some kind of like every day before your shift, you're going to run 2 hours through the simulators.
No, yeah.
So either cops are trained well or they're not trained, but no, those things exist, but
I've only seen them used in academies.
I have no idea. That's a good point. Like when formal training, what's an installed thing, but still that would be just to facilitate that. If a class has 20 students and they all need to spend an hour in there, do they have 20 of those things? That would be a pretty expensive situation. And that would be a whole like facility, unless they're setting those things up temporarily. That would be 20 rooms. So then what are they sending them through 5 at a time? They have 5 of those rooms.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Rooms exist.
It's probably just one. And then they have to run everybody through that one.
Well, I don't think they even go to academies. I think that those systems are designed and marketed like if they're being sold to cop training, but what they're sold to is gun ranges and CCW instructors that can afford to pay for them, and maybe ranges that have some classrooms and stuff, because they can afford to put it in there. Regular people can afford to go in and spend an hour in there and act like they're learning something and not see all the disadvantages of those. But I've been in them and they're not magic. You got to have projectors and then you got to have the sensors. And as those things advance, they can be better. But in general, they're to give you target recognition and to mess with your mind a little bit. So, shoot, don't shoots or stuff are reality. Like that's the kind of stuff that they have to deal with, targeted discrimination and stuff like that. So they're really there as, just more enhanced Hogan, what's that called? Something Alley?
Hogan's Alley. That's the FBI training.
Yeah, I think they're just enhanced versions of that. But again, I think they're really marketed to cops and then sold to CCW instructors and ranges in practicality.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think the academies send people through. At least in all the stuff I've heard about people talking about stuff, I've never heard of like, oh, the simulations were great or the simulations were bad. Like, neither one, and nobody even talks about them.
Might be a local thing. I don't know. I'm just going off my experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, each department's got its own budget and stuff too, and interests and priorities.
I know they exist. I don't know how prevalent they are.
It's like shoot houses too. You go to a place with a shoot house. You don't have a shoot house. Those are just giant facility that needs to have a roof and be weather resistant and all that, and like, for what, once in a while when you use it. So now you do that as like a joint thing. Everybody shares one, or you go to a facility where they are using it daily or something, cycling people through.
Michael Dunn is bringing up the female officer that thought she had pulled her taser but had pulled her gun. Shot the guy that was in the back of the car. I think he's in the back of the police car, but because I've seen the video and you hear her say taser, 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 but she pulled the wrong one. She pulled her gun instead of the taser. And that I think it was Yankee that was kind of talking about the tasers, where they should not be, the ones that the police use are in the form of a gun because it's a familiar shape, so it's easy, makes it easier to use. But should it be the shape of the gun, or should it be a different shape, which sets it farther apart from their actual gun?
Make it shaped like a Chiapa Rhino. No one would ever use one of those.
Well, the regular taser, the C2 or whatever it was, is kind of just like a boomerang shape, and it feels like you're holding I don't know, like a stud finder or something, because there's no weight to it. There's barely a battery in the handle, and then the rest of it is hollow plastic. I don't know if you ever picked one up. If you've ever picked up a display model of a taser, it's the same weight as the real taser. So it feels like an empty squirt gun. And it's well made and everything, but it just looks like a piece of like Star Trek equipment, maybe like a Star Trek, not even a phaser, because there's really no. I mean, there's technically a trigger, I guess, but it's like a button. It's more like a remote control or something than anything else. So it's definitely a different shape in the hand and a different grip angle, like an extremely different grip angle. It's like you're holding a remote control with a slight bend in it.
I got an idea. We could take a page out of the book of the Israelis and just give them 22s and call them less than lethal.
Yeah. That's a different topic we won't get into. They're.
I remember when I went to school for being a cop back when I was a little kid. This was in the 80s. They talked about police in Italy, and if you wrecked on the side of the road, they might stop to give you a ticket, but then they would just keep going. Like, they don't even call you an ambulance. It's like just a different level. And when they tell you to clear the streets, you pretty much cleared the streets, or you knew you were the enemy. So there's different police around the world. You go to Mexico. What are we comparing our police with the Mexican law enforcement, federal or local level? South
They're
America,
terrible down there.
Canada, like England. What are we comparing our police to? Utopia, like some movie, or like reality in the world today?
Well, like in Egypt, if something happens, like a terrorist attack, if you help the victims, you can be arrested and suspected of being one of the terrorists.
Yeah, maybe shot, right?
My mom had a friend that she went to Egypt, and there was a bombing at a museum that she was at, and she stopped to help somebody that was injured, and she got arrested. I think they ended up letting her go. I don't remember. This was
Did people just I don't know if you remember if you asked her if she said, but did people were people expected to just stand there and wait for someone to come, like, go, okay, you can help this person now, or like,
you don't help them, you don't help anybody.
Did they have to, like, I imagine if something happened in China, you'd be expected to stand there and be a witness, like stand until the police came and then offer your testimony to what happened or something. Is that like that, you think? Or get out of there?
I'm not sure. I think it's more everybody just clears out. Yeah. Michael Downer says pepper ball guns may be better than tasers. Maybe, maybe not. Just because they work a little bit differently. The
You
taser is
can-
more to um, um, losing the word.
Taser wiggles your neurological system, so it can
Yeah.
drop like a elephant. There's a thing where they took one of the first tasers, maybe even prototype, and were zapping this. It was an elephant or a horse or something. They were dicks. They kept zapping it and it'd fall down, and it'd get up, they'd zap it, and it would fall down again. And they're like, well, if it can drop an elephant, and then they sell them to zoos and stuff. Like a taser can drop anything because it just wiggles your nervous system, so your muscles all get fatigued and you fall down. I mean, it's literally a neurological thing. Where a pepper ball, that's trying to incapacitate you, and it doesn't just disappear. Like now you got pepper spray all over you. Everybody else does. The room does. But if you talk to people in jails, like people who work at jails, there's people that could care less about being peppered, whatever, right? You spray
Yeah.
Exactly.
pepper at them all day, they'll be like, "Hey, thanks, man. Can you have some nut Doritos or something?"
There
Yeah, you
was
pepper spray me versus G23, you're going to get a different outcome.
You just have to say it to G23.
back in the 80s, 90s ish, right around there. The military worked on, it was like a microwave thing that would basically interfere with your electrical signals in your brain. So it worked kind of like a taser, but without any contact. The problem was it turned you off permanently. So
It killed you.
yeah.
Really?
It
They
shut
had
off.
They had a
What's that
death
called?
ray.
What's that called?
I don't remember.
I mean, you can shake hard organs. You could throw like ultra vibrations or something at somebody and wiggle all their hard organs apart. I bet.
There was some in England. Uh, there was a company that developed. It was a two-part system. One, or it might not have been the two-part. One of them was it would fill, like if somebody broke into a business, the business would fill with smoke, and then
Yeah, cloak smoke. The
yeah,
corn shop I was at, hung out at, had that. They triggered it maybe 3 times. Works really well.
and then there was one that used um, low frequencies to vibrate you and basically make you sick.
Yeah, seasick rays or whatever. Like the
Yeah.
Navy uses those. Yeah, those are a thing. So
Um,
the place that makes that glove, it's like a taser glove, except
Yeah.
it's not, right?
Yeah.
That company makes a thing that kind of looks like a big space heater, like you'd have in a big shop or like a garage or something, like a really big heater, but it's like on the floor and it's got like a kind of like what one of them ceramic heaters might have, except that it does what you're talking about, and it's for crowd control. They set them on tripods and have them set next to speakers. I imagine when they turn them on, it makes everybody, I don't know, get sick or puke or I don't know what happens. Makes you all want to poop or something.
Budman is saying the brown note. It wasn't quite the brown note because it didn't make you want to crap yourself, but it made you feel
like
kind of sick,
nauseous or
feel
something?
kind of pensive.
Like you're going to vomit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just, well, I guess it is physical, but you just feel off. So you didn't want to be around.
Yeah, tasers came around because they wanted a quote unquote safer alternative to them beating you to a pulp with their nightstick.
Yeah,
There's
that's,
a movie about taser and where they came from.
the less than lethal. When those, that was the 80s, late 80s when they really started seeing the development of those. There was like the glue. They shot out. There was a foam that you could shoot out at people's feet, and then the foam was really sticky, so you couldn't move around in it. That I don't think that really went anywhere. Probably just because it's a big mess. Yeah, we kind of drifted off topic, but yeah, with the whole Floyd thing, and then the Black Lives Matter, I think that was a huge missed opportunity because I believe there needs to be some reform,
Hmm.
prison reform, police reform. Just it seems like we're getting, and I'll address Woods here in a second, um, that, there's animosity kind of on each side, and the friction seems to be growing, and that's not good for anybody. It doesn't help the police because, they're, and I don't want to say they're more likely to use force, but just bear with me. And then the populace are tired of having that force used on them, so they push back. Well, then the police ramp up a little more, and then the other side ramps up a little more, and it's counterproductive.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't cops more likely to break the law than CCW holders
Yeah,
by like a lot?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the numbers, but the number of people killed by police is up there. That's another one that I want to do a deep dive into, to look at the numbers. To separate out what would be good shoots versus bad shoots, and kind of look at those numbers. So I'm not grouping a cop that's defending himself or defending somebody else in with a cop that is selling drugs on the side and shoots somebody. Just so I don't want to equate the two. And Wood said less than lethal WSU defense. Yeah, they were pretty awful. They played in the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl in LA. It was actually named after Jimmy Kimmel. The field goals had his picture on them. The goalposts. I don't know. But it was not a very good game to watch.
Since those things are designed to be less lethal, but are often or can be lethal, the current term is just less lethal.
Yeah,
It's
because
not guaranteed to be less bad.
originally,
They don't want people to think like, oh, these things can't hurt anybody, so just play with them, so now we call them less lethal all the time.
yeah, it started out as non-lethal and then went
Exactly.
to less than lethal, and then
Exactly.
now less lethal. Because like the beanbag rounds for a shotgun, they're not lethal at range, but if you're standing right in front of the muzzle, they can be lethal.
Mm-hmm. My M1 carbine is less lethal than my M1 Garand, right? Can I call it my less lethal carry option?
Is it 9mm?
It's 30 carbine.
It's just like a millimeter long.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Did we kind of mess up that topic enough? Was there anything else that we should cover on that? Or
Top 5 guns to shoot cops in your house with.
no. One thing, another thing that earlier today, I was listening to the Four Boxes Diner, and I forget what he was talking about, but he mentioned Heller, the DC versus Heller decision, and he mentioned that I have it from the Heller decision. DC had a requirement to store your gun unloaded, disassembled, or bound by a trigger, and the Supreme Court found that unconstitutional. And that made me think of, Oregon right now has, well, Washington has it too, but Oregon, has a bunch of court cases going on now, but with safe storage laws. To me, that speaks to safe storage laws. And the one for Washington is the there was a couple sheriff departments that came out and said there's no way for us to enforce this, basically because it was so badly written that it's so vague. But the idea of a state saying you have to store your guns in a safe, to me, is akin to a trigger lock or disassembling, where it's not readily available for self-defense. And the Supreme Court said in the Heller ruling that is unconstitutional because it is not. It would not, if you needed it, it is not a viable weapon.
Yeah, I can imagine the founding fathers right now. The British are coming. Quick, unlock the guns. Get the ammo. Load them.
And I did, it's not one that I've heard anybody bring up as a court case. So part of it might be because nobody has been damaged because it's so badly written and vague that nobody knows how to enforce it.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I believe in Washington, to get prosecuted, you would have had to have left a gun out, known that it got stolen, and then not reported it, and then it's used in a crime. So, like the number of people that would apply to, I think it wouldn't be very many. It's still bad law.
It is. Well, all of 1639 is bad law, but and the Washington gun law.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah, I watched one of his videos today. He believes that there's more bad stuff coming next session because some statements that
it's over
that were made.
Trump's gone, so they don't need to worry about it anymore. It's over.
Well, it plays into 1639, where there was part of it that they can't implement without a registry. So he's concerned that there might be laws in the work based on statements that the governor made about doing stuff so they can implement all of 1639.
Yeah, I was watching the House of Representatives for Washington State discuss this because they're supposed to have yearly background checks for people that have bought handguns and assault weapons.
That's the issue.
Mm-hmm. And they're saying we can't do this unless we have a centralized registry of every gun that's owned in Washington State. And they're like, so if you want to give us that, then we can do this. Not good.
No. I had purposely not watched that video from Washington gun law, just because
I didn't see it.
There's a lot of videos out about doom and gloom, and I just didn't want to hear anymore.
Theoretical doom and gloom. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one of the large channels that everybody looks to for this stuff was talking about Oregon, and he stated that the magazine limit for Oregon was overturned by the court. It was not.
Yeah, it was stayed, right?
Yeah. They're going to hear it.
January?
Yeah, I think in January. That, it's somebody that I dislike because they've done stuff like that before. But, anybody else wants to watch them, that's their business, not mine. But, yeah, I won't get into it. Yeah. So I don't know. Let me pull up a poll for.
Is this a Festivus poll?
No, it's just kind of what I had mentioned earlier about modern policing. Should we do chat on modern policing.
I think we should. I would love to get a guest on though. That's actually a cop.
Well, there would have to be just for the insight, because there's stuff that I haven't gone through the academy. I don't deal with the police every day. I don't the stuff that they're training, and I don't know. So
I know a little more than the average person, but yeah, I never was a cop.
So there's a poll out there. Should we do a chat on modern policing? If you watch this, and oh, god damn it, hang on.
Banner.
There's Banner at the bottom.
Bruce
of the screen.
Banner. Welcome to the chat.
There's email and a link if you want to send in suggestions, comments, pictures within reason. Either of those two ways will get you somewhere. There's a link in the description for the overnight Gilded server. That's another way that you can get a hold of myself or Baron or some of these other guys that hang out here. And you can share pictures and memes and stuff like that, or get a hold of us. If you watch this in replay, you can answer the poll because it doesn't show up when you watch replay. But do you think we should do a dive into modern policing? And I'll see if I can get somebody to come on. But like I said, I don't want it to just be a dog pile on the police, or the guest, to have them answer for what other people are doing. That's not fair for them. And I just have not quite figured out how to make that work where it doesn't just turn into that.
We'd have to keep the panel low.
Yeah, it would be just,
Have someone come in drunk, be like, "You motherfucker."
Yeah.
Yeah. Could go bad. How's the puppy doing?
I guess he's all right.
I think Pugsley is better than P-Webs.
Neither one of those are approved.
What did DJ suggest? T-Pug or something? Tack Pug? What was it?
I don't know.
Something terrible. Shame on you, DJ.
Figured out this dog comes from China. How do I even know it's a dog? What if this is their new scam for listening devices?
Could be a robot.
Elaborate little robot drones like this just came running down the street out of nowhere. Chinese dog. Just saying.
Gaining your confidence so he can steal all your secrets.
Have you checked for seams?
He's listening to all this right now. There's all these wrinkles. How are you supposed to be able to check all these wrinkles? How do you know which one you've already looked at or not? You could have a zipper under any one of these. Or it's one of them rubber suits.
X-Adam is saying that we should just have myself and then somebody to watch the chat. That's probably about how it would be.
I can do that.
What else should we talk about?
2022, did you see Gizzards' recap summary?
I did.
Are y'all going to do one of them?
Like a panelist who was on the most.
I don't know how he came up with all of that, but I don't know. That's not like a report. He just keeps that because he was a nerd. But
yeah,
there's things you can do to make like YouTube. You can squeeze YouTube and poke a bunch of that stuff out.
I'm not sure. I keep kind of changing what I think we should do. I'll think, oh, we should do this, and then think, oh, that's stupid. I don't want to do that.
So if you don't do anything quarterly, that means you got to do things yearly. If you don't do it yearly, then it's very difficult to go back and take a look at what you've done. So for your own ability to check out what you've done before, and then like, oh, I want to go find something, or just because 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, uh, be surprised. You're like, oh, I want to go back and see what all we've done. Like, oh, we never did anything to do look backs, or what's that called, flashbacks or whatever. If you do that along the way, it's a lot easier to summarize stuff going forward. I'm just telling you, after years of doing stuff, you never think about years down the road when you're at the beginning of stuff, and it's as easy as doing yearly reviews or quarterly reviews. Or
Some of it I want to forget. But while we're talking about Gizzard, he's got a chat in the morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you're in between, then it's somewhere in between. But I've got this. The early bird chat. Sometimes with his host, George, co-host George, if he feels like showing up. And Lou said, you got your mail today?
Ooh. Wonder what that could be.
Hopefully it made it there safe. I tried to pack it good. So, yeah, let me know what you think about it.
End of the year. What if we went over the old overnight topics one by one? See if our opinions changed any.
We could do that.
like speed round style.
Yeah.
We will be doing giveaways. I think we'll do 3 prize packs. This will probably be what would be considered the grand prize pack. A M1 Garand miniature. This is pretty cool. Thank you. Give away that. And I think we'll do also an Aegis cleaning kit. This is the basic, I think they call it their basic cleaning kit. So I think this is the one I won from Clover Tack. And they had sent me one for being a smartass. But I'm going to keep this one. And then I think maybe one that's just stickers and some patches and stuff. Or whatever stuff I can shovel off the floor here. Going about. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about? Anyone?
What is the bracket tonight?
Yeah. What's a bracket?
There's not a bracket. Maybe do a bracket on the 31st. I don't know. Because we can't do everything, so we have to figure out what we can do. Fit into, I'm figuring maybe like 2-hour chat.
See anything interesting on YouTube lately?
I don't know. Not really. I saw a thing about the Indiana expanding their castle doctrine, but that was
How many
interesting.
people are going to watch this and be like, just see the thumbnail, be like, oh shit, what happened? We might want to change the thumbnail, like cross that out and be like, don't listen to us.
Well, it's like we said, the concept that we were talking about is still valid. It's just based on old news. So I don't feel bad about talking about it.
No.
So let me end the poll there. We had 11 votes. Should we do a chat on modern policing? 63% said yes. 36% said no.
What is modern policing?
Just whatever they're doing now.
I guess what it would be. What's
21st century.
I mean, what precedent? What was before modern policing, and why is it different than whatever was before it? Was it antique policing, or what was vintage? What was before modern policing?
I'd say it changed around 9/11. There was a shift.
There was,
because now you're doing sort of that Dr. Yamane who says gun culture 2.0. I'm like, well, where did you come up with 2.0? So you're saying that modern policing is from 9/11, Patriot Act, in other words.
Yeah.
There definitely was a change, because then you also get the see something, say something, which is also something that I'm curious about, the rise of the Karen. Is that something that has always been there, but now that there's so many cameras around to see it, are we just seeing what's been going on, or has there been a change where it happens more?
It's cell phones.
What was the Salem witch trials? Was that a bunch of Karens, or was that a bunch of crazy witches running around?
I would say probably not the crazy witches, but I had heard a theory that there was a property dispute that kind of maybe lent into that.
Oh, snap.
Exactly.
Nice barn, witch.
Like, oh, you got a nice 50 acres there, and no one to inherit it. It'd be a real shame if you died and I bought it at auction.
Well, and then
an altar to the cow.
The theory that it was the mold on the bread
that's bullshit.
Had a LSD, so they thought the witches were hallucinating. So don't know for sure. But that's back around the time where if you had any mole or sore on your body, it was considered a place where the devil could enter your body. So that's one thing they would do if they thought you're a witch, was check your body for moles, because that was somehow to prove that maybe you were enchanted. And then that if you float or don't float, which one hand I hate to laugh at it, because people actually died because of it.
Oh yeah, they died.
But it's if you sank and died, you weren't a witch. If you floated, you were a witch, and you lived until they killed you because you were a witch. So
it's very cultish, isn't it? Reminds me of a cult. Literally. What? They're like rationale and behavior. Like, if you sink, you're good. But if you float, you're evil and we're going to kill you. What? So I can't win. It's
No.
like, oh, well, if you drown, you'll go to heaven. So you're
Well,
fine.
maybe people floated back then. They ate a lot of butter and whatnot.
They were smaller back then.
Yeah, exactly. They weighed a lot. Water was probably a lot denser. I don't know. Think how many times water's been boiled since then.
Yeah, we were doing the right to remain silent. I made a little joke like, yeah, that doesn't work in the Salem witch trials. So they're gonna get you anyway.
Mm-hmm. Like, that witch ain't saying nothing. That makes you a witch.
Yeah.
That witch is too chatty. That makes you a witch.
That still gets used. You know, when an office, you know, I watched a lot of the First Amendment auditors, which, you know, it can be considered controversial because some of them are out there because they want to make a change, make a difference. You know, it's your constitutional right to be out there. You know, and then some of them are just looking for conflict. Some of them are just crazy.
Yeah, like I'd say 95% of them are on the spectrum.
But
From the ones I've seen.
That's, you know, that's one thing that pops. You'll see a lot where they get asked for ID. Apparently, cops survive by looking at IDs. You know, it's nourishment. But so they want to see ID, ask them what they're doing, and then if they do not answer, why don't you want to answer? That's suspicious. And then, you know, they'll try to arrest them on obstruction because they won't answer the questions. But you have a right not to answer. You know, it's your Fifth Amendment right. But there were laws that was a justified reason for suspicion, was somebody not answering the questions. But the Supreme Court has ruled that that does not apply anymore.
Did you see the video of the cops arresting the blind guy for having a walking stick? They considered it a
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah, to me,
You ever seen Daredevil? Come on.
yeah, that's complete abuse of power, because, you know, he asked the cop, "What are you, a tyrant?" And she says yes, and then they arrest him. And that's, I don't know if, I know that's going to court. I'm not sure if it has been heard yet or not. But that's one he's going to win if he has not already won it.
God, I love cop wearing cameras. It's best thing that happened to cops ever. Cop cams.
I think it is important, and I think all departments should have it. Not, you know, not every department can afford it, but it is, for transparency, it is important. You know,
I'd rather them have cameras than tasers.
I don't know about that. That's one I'd have to think quite a bit about.
Give them a nightstick. Used to work fine. Right?
I have noticed that they've gone away from the PR-24s, and a lot of departments are back to just regular nightsticks, because the PR-24s were not a good, I don't know if you call it a system. That's the nightstick with the handle.
They're too big a Tonfa.
Yeah, well, they were sold to the departments by a guy who didn't know what he was doing, who didn't understand how.
Talking about TJ Hooker? I don't know. We were at the disagreement on that.
So, you know, that's one of the higher up instructors. My instructor's instructor used the what's his name? Got beat in L.A.
Rodney King.
Rodney King used the Rodney King beating as an example, and he's like, "What? How many times did they hit him with the PR-24?" And, you know, to prove the ineffectiveness of that weapon platform. And
I think they hit him more times than they needed to.
well, yeah, but he was just saying, they hit him a bunch of times with this thing. It's not working.
But I don't remember the part where he got up and like killed all the cops because it didn't work.
Well, no, and another example is holding a kick shield, a pad for kicking, and he hit it with a tonfa, swinging it, and yeah, getting hit with the hard object sure is going to hurt, but it's not a devastating thing. It would not be as hard as if they hit you with a billy club.
What about for this dog? You're okay with this dog carrying one for self-defense?
Well, his would be so small.
He's got a full-size one.
It's too large for him to manipulate effectively.
He's going to get a sling, like a little 550 belt for him. He could just carry it like this.
I think we should give cops morning stars. Those would work pretty good, right?
Gary's gonna hit the roost. He's got to get up early and wake everybody up. So have a good night, Gary.
Congrats on all the, what do you call that, milestones on your channel and retiring.
Oh yeah, Gary hit his 200th foul territory and broke 2,000 subs.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Gary.
It literally says PR24 on it.
Yeah.
I really like them. But what did you say? I walked away when you were saying some guy who made these or something was the one selling them?
Yeah, the guy that sold them to the police departments.
Is this wood in here or is this fiberglass?
It should be wood, like an ash or something, light but strong. He didn't really know what he was doing, but he was able to sell them.
It says made in the USA, New Hampshire.
Budman is correcting me.
Really
Nightstick, not a billy club.
I would think those would be really good for blocking. Am I wrong?
Oh no, these are awesome. They're super good for fighting. It's just that you have to take, like a level of competency to do it. But there's classes for these things. They're super good for all kinds of stuff. Have you ever watched DJ Hooker? Come on.
Never.
I would choose the Nightstick over the PR24. I have used both, and I would go the Nightstick.
He's talking about a stick instead of this.
Yep.
Then how do you hold on to it? Is there a ring or something that you hold it on to your belt? Or is there a lanyard on it, or how do you hold on?
Kind of around
goes in-
where that handle is. Now I'm trying. This is from I'm trying to remember my dad's. There was a ring. Can't remember if it was rubber or if it was just the wood. The way it was carved. So there was a larger spot there to hold it in on the belt, on the ring.
It's just congealed blood from all the victims that have been hit with it.
X Adams saying he was threatened with arrest for small nail clippers on a keychain. Because Vanessa Kitty brought up her P38 can opener on a keychain. Court said it was a weapon. That's the little stamp metal, folds out can opener. Oh,
See this
his
part?
PR24. His is corked.
This here? It's not cork.
I was kidding. That's when they cork bats, they drill through the end of them.
So this thing probably down to about here, they drilled it out, and I'm guessing that's lead in there or a piece of steel. But that's drilled out, and then this side's, it balances over here somewhere. So this is all a bunch of metal in here. And then this used to have a wooden plug on the end. It's just that it dried up and fell out at some point when I was younger. But this is from, I don't know, maybe the 60s or something. It's a Cop Billy Club.
Yeah, that's what my dad's was late 60s, early 70s. I think his was just a little bit longer than that and was black, painted black.
Dog looks like he thinks he's in trouble.
No, this is when he's like asleep, but he refuses to lay down because I've been moving stuff around. I keep walking out of here. It had to be pretty decent wood. It's only barely got a crack in it for having a big thing drilled down the center of it. But they probably had been making these things for a long time.
X Adam S, did you get a gun for yourself to celebrate Christmas? Not exactly. I bought some parts so I can keep working on my 350 Legend. Ordered a buttstock and a scope. I still need a trigger. That's the last part. I thought I had. I was digging through stuff, and I don't know if I was dreaming this or if I actually have a trigger laying around, just a mil-spec trigger. Because I was looking for it today, and I can't find it. So I might have just imagined that I saw it when I was looking for something else. I don't know.
I was going to use this dog's foot as a trigger, but look at how floppy that is. It would be a bad trigger.
Vanessa's thinking of buying a 6-foot long bar of titanium and bending it into a cane. What's downtown Seattle cops had those on cords and would fling them around with that lanyard.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably like a piece of leather or something that you would put around in this part, maybe. Because I don't think it would stay here, but maybe it would just stay here.
Woods bought a Taylor & Co. 1911.
Hmm. 10 Days of Tyranny. That sucks.
Well, the 10-day wait. Maximum of 10 days wait, depending on if you have a good shop, then they'll release it after 10 days. If your background check hasn't come back.
My shop told me it could be 30 days. So
what?
Ew.
Yeah, I would not. I don't know if I would. Well, they might be the only ones that you have around you. But two of the reasons I go to the shop that I go to is one, great customer service, and two, after 10 days, they'll release the firearm.
Yeah, mine's okay. I mean, I moved away from my favorite gun shop, so I can't go there anymore.
X Adams said, I'm poor and I had to put a gun on layaway. First time I've done that. Nobody around here does layaway. Because I probably would.
Because they got burned or they don't need to?
I don't know, just nobody does. Moose said I have a Rise armament. That's what I was looking at because they were on sale. So I was thinking about getting one of those. I might just put a mil-spec trigger in it for now, just so I can get it all put together and then swap out the trigger later. I don't know.
The PSA enhanced pulse trigger is pretty good. If you want something just a little bit above mil
They
spec,
are. I have one of those in one of my rifles. I don't know which one.
I think they're like $35.
It was definitely better than the M&P trigger with their lower kit. Moose said he has a LaRue trigger on his Bushmaster. I have the Timney. I have a Timney in my Bushmaster, and I seem to like it. I don't have any complaints about it. Michael Dunn said, I haven't seen layaway since Kmart. Yeah. I think Walmart does layaway, but I don't know. I don't go to Walmart.
My gun shop does do layaway on certain consignment items. Like right now, they got like a 50 cal rifle, and it's like $20,000. You can do layaway on that one.
I don't know if you guys already said this, but a lot of the shops have some sort of like 5 payment thing where you don't need the layaway as much as they'll do some kind of version of credit, essentially, right? Like some kind of, we can help you make payments on whatever purchase you got, and then you take it home right away, I think.
Adam said all shops except Academy Sports Outdoors have 3-day waiting period. If you're delayed, then they release the gun. Academy will never release the gun without a go ahead from the feds. That's the way Cabela's is. I got into them with it over that, but
they're crazy strict.
What the problem was, I called the police department to check on my background check, and they said that they had processed all of the background checks from when I did mine. So I went back to Cabela's and told them, "Oh, hey, well, they said that," and they're like, "Well, we can't touch it." It's like, "Well, can you go look at it?" Because the police department is telling me they've done the back. Oh no, we can't touch it. We're not allowed to touch it until they get the word from the police department. It's like, well, keep it.
I've told you about them wanting me to do a background check for a black powder revolver, right? At Cabela's?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What are you guys smoking here?
X Adam said he did his layaway with a store from out of state, online with the store from out of state.
Unless your state makes you do that, there's no way they could even do that.
Would
it be a long gun or an other or a pistol? They wouldn't be able to complete the call.
Yeah, the black powder.
Right.
Well,
unless your state makes you do it.
They could
do it wrong and say it's a pistol.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I don't know. It might, if there's something with, well, I don't know. You worked at a shop, so I might be completely wrong, because they're not looking at any specific firearm so much for the background check.
When you make the phone call, you mean?
Yeah, they're looking at, are you allowed to own a firearm?
From what I remember, it's like the name. Well, you guys have heard it if you've ever been on the phone. I mean, now they make it do, a lot of people do them electric, but if you've ever listened to them do the background or do the 41st, what do they call that thing? The NICS check over the phone, you can hear what they're saying, your name and your phone number, or your name and your address and that kind of stuff. And then it'll be like, did they say yes? So there'll be a couple of questions where you say yes, 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 or something, and then it'll say what type of gun. So yeah, it's just everything up to your signature. Everything beyond your signature, they're going to look at in the future when they audit the store or when they call in a trace request. So they can call in the trace anytime they want. And I think you get 24 hours to reply to the trace. And they'll say, tell us about this transaction, and then you'll go look it up in your records or whatever, and then they'll ask anything they want about that, I think.
Well, because if I go into shop, buy a gun, they do the background check. Once the proceed comes back, I could buy a second gun and they would just add it to it, but my background check is already done. So I've already been cleared to buy a gun, and I could buy that second gun without them having to do a second background check.
That's interesting. Yeah.
When I came back in.
Technically, some shops would tell you, hell no. They would, in fact, I know certain guys would tell you, get out of my shop. Like, I don't know what you're trying to pull, but no way. Other shops would be like, yeah, since we just called it in while we're filling it out, feel free, grab as many guns as you want, because it doesn't matter and they don't ask.
Yeah,
but it is good for 30 days technically. But technically, once that call goes through, you should fill out another 4473. I'm guessing. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm guessing it would probably be some BS, like once it's over, another 4473. I know for a fact if you fill out that 4473, walk out the door and walk back in, they're calling another call. They're not going to just...
Federally, you're allowed to do to do it that way.
But I'm saying most shops aren't going to just do that.
Well, I can see that for liability, to protect themselves.
Yeah, just because it's a weird circumstance. It probably does happen, though, more often than you'd think. Like, somebody's like, oh, I just bought that one. I should buy another one for the kid, or I'm going to buy one for his brother, or something like that.
Yeah, but if that shop allows you to do that, that gun has to be physically in the shop.
Oh no, yeah, it would have to be happening at the moment. Like, there's no way it would be like 2 days later, 22 hours later. Even it would have to be like right then.
Yeah,
because if you left and came back later that day, they're filling out another 4473. They're not going to just go with your old one and add more stuff to it.
Because I got to proceed and then came back. It was like it was either the next day or a couple days later. And while I was there, I saw another gun and said, well, I don't know. Well, I'm picking this up. Why don't I get that? But that gun had come in between the time I got my go ahead and when I came in. So they couldn't, because when I got the go ahead, that gun was not physically in the shop.
Yeah. And then there's also the two gun, what's that called? States on the board have to do multiples. So you'd have to fill out a multiple. So that's something else to keep in mind. Like, if you're going to get two guns from the shop, if you get them at the same time, you're making them fill out a multiple, which isn't a big deal. They're used to it, but it's also, you wait and got it the next day, then they're not filling out a multiple, or whenever it is. I forget the actual time span anymore. It might be 2 days or whatever it is. I've only ever even seen an electronic 4473 a couple of times, so that's how long I've been into a shop or whatever, that most shops, I'm being told, they're mostly electronic 4473s by now.
The bigger shops, yeah.
That's
probably not the smaller shops.
That's
the one.
That's something that I think is definitely something that, and anybody who says, oh, blah blah blah, then if you're filling out an electric 4473, you're part of the problem, because that's definitely a negative.
Yeah, Cabela's does, but the shop I go to still does paper. Vanessa said the state requires the number issued per each gun purchase for state background check on top of NIC checks.
Yeah, see, I could definitely see a state thing being way more worried about the procedure or the number, because they're usually trying to register it or keep track or something.
I will say, I don't get delayed with the electronic one. If I do a paper version, it's hours waiting.
Yeah. They probably want to incentivize the electric one, so they'll probably do whatever they can to incentivize it, right? Like, make it more efficient.
I've never been delayed. The closest thing was the system was down when I bought the last lower that I bought. The NIC system was down, so they couldn't do any checks. And so I gave him my number and I left, but I got, a couple miles out of town, and they called me and said, "Oh, it's back up." So I did a UE on the highway and went back. And
I'll have people that filled out the form after me get approved before me. So it's something to do with me.
Usually
Michael,
it's a name thing. If you got a unique enough name, then you got no problem. But if you've got anywhere near other people on your name, then it's going to take a minute because they got to differentiate, you know.
That's probably the problem.
yeah. Michael Dunn said, "There's some shops around me here that have kiosks. Yeah, the only kiosks around here are the ones for Silencer Co. for suppressors.
I've never
Not
seen one
for-
of those.
Silencer Central.
Yeah, whatever it is.
That's pretty interesting. That's a dentist or something from like, is it Nebraska or Montana or Utah or Idaho or someplace? One of those states that makes potatoes, I think.
When you guys were talking, you made me think of something. Now I forgot what it was.
Potatoes?
Names?
The bracket that we're going to do today.
No, I don't know. I think it was. I think I was just going to mention, like on the 4473, I do not put my social security number.
No, there's no reason to. Well, okay, the reason to would be, again, if you've got like the name John Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to.
I did on the very first one. I did, and then found out I don't have to do it, so I never did it again.
Here's the thing: you're putting that on a piece of paper that's got to sit in a shop forever.
Yeah,
and tons of people are looking at it and stuff. Something about bacon.
I don't know. Moo probably has bacon on the mind all the time.
Now I'm hungry.
If there was a bacon delivery place and they had one free bacon entree or whatever, one free bacon selection with each delivery, what would be your free bacon selection this evening?
What do you mean by selection? Just strips or?
I don't know. Whatever's on the menu of this bacon delivery place, what would you be looking for the free, the ideal free thing?
Bacon strips.
I want
So
bacon
like,
and eggs, but that's only good warm. And I feel like delivery it's going to be cold.
It could be a food truck that pulls up and they kind of either start making it on the way or they pull up and literally make it in front of your house and then book it to you. That would be pretty good. Well,
I would love a breakfast burrito right now.
One of those like pieces of wood or stone maybe, and then they just give you like one piece of different kinds of bacon, like 6 different kinds of bacon or 8 different kinds of bacon, one strip of each different 8 types of bacon, like one of those kind of sample platters.
Who says bacon bits on crispy bacon with some well done bacon on the side?
Have you ever had what I'm talking about?
Never.
Just give you like a long plate with 6 strips of bacon on it, and they're all different. Each one's a different kind of bacon.
No.
There's this place called Oink here, and I thought maybe that was a appetizer at other bacon places or other stores or other restaurants. But that's one of their, I guess you'd call it an appetizer, but that's like one of their things is, one of them's got maple syrup on it or something, and then they're spicy, and then there's some fancy salt, and then I don't know, different kinds of bacon.
We have a Five Guys that does a bacon milkshake. You had one.
Ugh. Yeah. I would, if you're going to do that, get it with like 5 times the bacon, because evidently they don't charge you for toppings. So I would, because there's so few pieces of bacon that it just felt like there was dirt in there. Like, it was fine.
That's why they're so expensive. You can just pile shit on. It's the same price.
I definitely take advantage of it. So I got one the last time because the last time I went to Five Guys, I got paid to get a milkshake. So I got peanut butter cups and chocolate. And I'm going to be like peanut butter cups times 3 next time. So I'm like, again, if you just put like the amount that they put in there, you feel like they're accidentally putting it in there. Like that's not enough. It needs to. I'm used to whatever. Is it Dairy Queen that does it, where it's like 50% candy and then some ice cream holding it together or something?
They're
like,
Blizzard.
Yeah, like come on, you could put more than a half a teaspoon of whatever crumble in there. But anyway, yeah, they're I'm not a big fan of options, but they're
I was
I get 3 times the bacon, at least 4 times the bacon if they'd let you.
I was gonna get Five Guys today and have it delivered, but the single patty, their little cheeseburger, is $8, and then their regular, which is 2 patties, was a bacon cheeseburger, was 11 something. I really like Five Guys. I don't think they're great burgers, but I really like them for some reason. But yeah, it just I couldn't pay that much.
They're
It's
grilled,
used,
right? That's like a fried grill, and that's not like a
yeah,
Burger King or something. Yeah.
and it's when we get it, it's used for the family. It's usually like $50 for burgers, and then we'll get I can't remember what combination of fries because they're very generous with fries. So
Oh yeah.
for 3 of us, we don't need like 3 regular fries. We'll get like a regular and maybe a small, and that's enough to split between 3 people.
They
I
just
got
hand
the
you like a
bacon.
garbage bag full, right?
Well,
Usually a
if,
half
if
again, at least half again or more. Basically, the rule is if they're smaller, if they're not full size cuts, like a massive fry, and they're giving you extra, they're going to give you double the portion. If it's just small fries, they're going to give you double. But if it's full, legit, like awesome fries, they're going to give you like half again what you got. So if you got a large, you're getting a large and a medium.
they'll fill the cup, put it in the bag, and then dump more in the bag.
Yeah, but I mean, they have a recipe for like, in other words, if the fries aren't up to par, they're giving you 2 scoops in the bag. Like they're making sure you're happy. But yeah, they're, I don't know. I would think that's part of it, right? And then if you're there, you've got that robot soda thing. I don't know if other places have that now, if that's unique or not, but you can go in there and get any flavor
Yeah,
of soda you want.
that's the
Yeah,
one here has.
Do they all have that though? All the different kind of places
Mine
have
does.
that? Or
They
like
have it.
McDonald's and Burger King and stuff? Do all
You're
the different chains have it?
seeing it more in McDonald's. I haven't been to a McDonald's in a while, but last time
Yeah,
I
I
was
haven't
in
either.
McDonald's,
Okay, so that's
Taco Time has it.
okay.
Ooh,
I just thought that
taco
was
time
kind
is
of cool
good.
because I can be like, I don't even know what I feel like drinking, but I can decide when I get up there. It's kind of nice.
They have a habanero chicken burrito. Thing is to die for.
I got
It's actually spicy.
Are you talking Five Guys still or someplace else?
Taco time.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that is. That's a different chain.
I usually just get a couple tacos and one of their crisp burritos.
Ooh. Congrats on that, Woods.
Well, it's winter break.
Oh yeah. Teacher, right?
Yeah.
I seen a thing where they took an egg and they fried it. All right. And then they took the egg out of the fry thing and put it into, I'm assuming not just flour, some kind of seasoned flour like you would use for fried chicken. And then once it was a fried egg coated up in, the stuff for fried chicken powder or whatever it's called, then they put it into a thing and deep fried it so that it was essentially a piece of deep fried chicken, except it was a fried egg.
Woods is Taco Time is just northwest. There's actually 2 Taco Time companies, corporations. There's a Taco Time. No, I don't know if that's Taco Time Northwest or just Taco Time. And then there's a Taco Time International. They're 2 separate companies.
266 locations, American Canadian fast food restaurant chain. In the United States in 74, 226 in the United States, 74 in Canada. Founded in Eugene in 1960.
What says Taco Time is better than Taco Bell? The
It would have to be. Taco Bell is definitely.
Well, the biggest draw for Taco Bell used to be super cheap tacos. For under $1 you could get a taco. They're more expensive now. You could get a 10-pack for like $5.
I thought I can't remember. I guess I don't. Taco Bell is probably always like at best cafeteria food, but now they're industrial. We make it at the commissary and ship it out and frozen, and they assemble it at the store kind of food. I'd rather go to there's always somewhere nearby, usually an alternative that's like somebody cracking eggs and somebody making beans once a day and somebody making their salsa, like a chain, but a handmade food chain.
Okay, so the Taco Time Foss and I are thinking about, there's only 70 of them.
No, it says 70 in Canada, 226 in the United States.
Taco Time Northwest.
Oh, it's different.
Yeah, there's two different companies,
Yeah,
I guess.
Oh,
Taco Time Northwest and Taco Time International. The only reason I knew that is the one in Pullman, Washington, is a Taco Time International. I heard the manager talking to somebody and explaining that to them.
so it says in 62, the first Taco Time opened in Washington. In the 1970s, it expanded to 48 in 7 states. And then in 78, it franchised international to Canada, I guess. It's international. But in 79, Taco Time Northwest became a licensee with the rights to franchise and operate the Taco Time concept independently.
Ooh, there's a Taco Time food truck. It's called the Taco Time Traveler.
They have their
In
own
2003, the company was bought by something or another, Scottsdale, Arizona. So now it's owned by Arizona company.
Oh, so X Adam sent in pictures of what he bought.
It says the Taco Time has expanded and has more than 300 franchises in the United States, Canada, Kuwait, Netherlands, and Morocco, Antilles, and also in Greece. It's a lot of Taco Times. I've never been to one.
They're, I don't know. I like, I like Taco Bell and I like Taco Time. We usually go to Taco Time, but it's annoying because they put a lot of lettuce on it and then a slice of tomato on the very top. You cannot eat that taco without removing that tomato because the lettuce is up to the edge of the taco shell, and then that tomato is precariously on the top, so you have to take it off.
Have you been to Del Taco ever?
I've been by one. There used to be one down here. I never went in.
I like them because you can get fries at Del Taco. Well, you can get hamburgers and other stuff, but you can get
Well,
fries.
I know their burritos were huge.
I wouldn't go around saying that. They were kind of like Taco Bell to me. At least they felt like basically a different version, but maybe a notch better. Maybe 2 notches better than Taco Bell, depending on where you put Taco Bell on your list. But
Do you remember that cult in Oregon in the 80s?
Taco Bell cult?
They like all wore orange. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
No. Raw niche movement?
Sri Rajneesh?
Yeah.
The Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Yeah, they were up around Tacoma, and then I think they moved down to Oregon because Linda Evans from Dynasty, she moved to Tacoma to be near the cult.
Well, they did a bioterror attack at Taco Time in the 80s.
So here is what X Adam 1 has on layaway.
Ooh, very nice.
45 Colt.
It's the best way to buy it.
One Riot, one Ranger.
Oh, damn. Did they put a lock in the back of the hammer? Do you see that? Right there?
Hmm.
That's a shame. Wonder if you can replace that.
No. I think that's just a reflection of the gap in the back of the notch there from down below.
Maybe.
Can you see?
Looks like a hole.
Oh no! Now that you enhanced, that's a Hillary hole.
Oh, it's not as doesn't stand out as much as some of the other ones.
You won't see it when it's cocked.
That's pretty sweet. Looks like it's laser etched. Still cool.
Does he have a lever action in 45? Oh, it's his first 45 Colt.
I don't have one.
It's like 44 Mac, except cooler. That's how
I've
I describe
shot G23's Judge in
it. Ew,
45 Colt.
that doesn't count.
It was pretty soft. You know, the gun's pretty heavy. So recoil wasn't bad. It's not as pretty as this.
No.
I still would like basically this, the Ruger in 454.
They do that, right? But it's a 5-shot?
I think so. He says he has a Henry in 4570, 3030, 22, 357. No 44 yet. That is going to be the special Oilers edition Henry. I didn't know he was a hockey fan.
Yeah, Henry makes 45s.
Yeah, Michael Dunn said someday I will find a 3030.
And the lever actions like the Rossi and the Henry, they can take Ruger only loads. Power wise, you can get AK-47 ballistics out of a 45 Colt with a 16-inch barrel. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that Ron Spomer video on the 3030 versus the 350 Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, made me disappointed in the 350 Legend. It just seems like there should be more performance out of the 350 Legend than there is. You know, I don't have any, just on optics, not on statistics.
I don't know. I mean, I consider the 3030 to be pretty adequate for hunting.
Well, I'm not saying that there's anything bad, but to me, the name of it, it should be like
Legendary.
It should be more like the 6.5 Grendel. But you're looking at 200 yards rather than 400 yards.
Yeah, I think the straight wall kind of gimps it because you can't have you need like a, what do you call that? A sabode bullet to get it to a smaller caliber.
Yeah.
To where it's light enough that it can go super fast. Yeah.
And the only reason that I built it was I was at Cabela's picking up some more 450 Bushmaster, selling my soul to get a box of ammo. And saw it there, and I thought, what the hell? I'll just pick up this 350 Legend. So now I have a box of 350 Legend, so I need to build a rifle to go with it.
Yeah, ammo prices for. I was looking at 30 carbine ammo. It was $50 for 20 rounds. What the hell?
Yeah.
Remember that Dave Chappelle joke? You want to stop crime? Just make bullets cost like $100,000. Like, man, you must have really hated that guy.
I think that was Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, yeah.
They've tried that, adding the tax to make it really expensive.
I feel like that's what's going on with all the cartridges I'm buying. I picked the most expensive shit to build. What is that? Bird food?
Pumpkin spice, keto, whatever, trail mix.
Fancy bird food. There's some of the calibers I knew would be expensive, and I was just kind of building them to build something different. So I went into it knowing it would be expensive to shoot, but I'm not gonna, I don't shoot it all the time. I ordered 10 round 350 Legend magazines because I almost forgot to order magazines for her.
Oh, does it not take standard?
Are you addicted to building guns or addicted to building AR-15s?
It wouldn't matter what it was. Building the AR-15s is fun, but
It's a project.
Challenge. I got a potential challenge. I'm going to go grab something and see what you think about this challenge.
Okay, but it could be anything that I get into, and that's what I'm doing. It's more the doing than what it is, almost.
Confirmed. G-Web's his big bird. That's why he doesn't show his face.
Finding shoes is hell. Didn't the guy that played Bitburg just die?
Yeah, a few years ago, I think.
Yeah. Michael Dunn said, glad it isn't a 50 BMG, $5 a round. Yeah.
I was considering buying a 50 BMG at the gun shop, but I can afford it, but why do I need it?
There is one of the local gun shops. I haven't been in there in a couple of years, but they had two 50 BMGs. I think they were like 12 something, 1,250-ish.
Do you remember those uppers you could get for an AR-15? That was like a $1,500 upper. You could shoot a 50 BMG out of it.
Oh.
Then the ATF reclassified them as a firearm.
Yeah, hopefully we get through some more of these court cases to remove the infringements.
Tell them to go kick rocks.
X Adam said, I've had a hard time buying 458 SOCOM for one of my rifles. It's expensive. Shipping doesn't help any.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reload.
Budman said, bolt action. But yeah, that's kind of the, we were talking the other day about collecting and stuff. It's
an addiction for me.
It is, I'm almost done with this one, and I, would like to build something different, but it's stuff I don't need. I'm not supposed to be collecting.
At least you're not as bad as me, where you're like, not only do I need this rifle for this reason, but I need 3 of them so I have spare parts. That excuse doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I married an accountant, so
Yeah.
I have to be creative on the finances sometimes. But it's fun, and I would recommend people building an AR-15 if you like AR-15s, because you learn a lot about AR-15s. You get to see what's in there, and it's not hard at all. There's a couple little fiddly bits, but on the whole, it's you're just plugging in parts.
So, G-Web, did you get what you're looking for?
No, I got to go in there again. Unless you want to cut the show off, but otherwise, I have to look around again. This dude was freaking out.
So what? Let me do this. Make sure I get the right one. GearWebsites.com for your 2A related t-shirts, patches, stickers. He also does 3D printing, website consulting, and probably I think there's other consulting in there. I don't know. He'd probably even be your life coach if you paid him. GearWebsites.com. Anything you want to plug, G-Webs?
No, thanks for the link. Thanks for the link. Thanks for hosting. No show next week?
No. Not till the 31st, New Year's Eve. There will be. That reminds me. Wednesday. Where did I put it? This.
Disco is dead. Disco is not dead. Disco is life.
Wednesday nights at 10:30 p.m. after the tactical quiz. Gun Websites YouTube channel is the Wednesday night mouse party. It's a little more fun, less serious, just for hanging out, communing with each other. Baron, anything you want to plug?
I probably should have something, but I don't. I'll remember as soon as we go off air.
X Adam is asking G-Webs, do you print 3D pistol stands? He might be busy with the puppy. I don't know. Send him an email. Probably would work something out with you. I don't know. Contact him. You can see what he says.
Okay, are we still alive?
Yeah.
I think evidently my battery had gone out, so I had to go replace my battery. So let me. Do we still have a second?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the puppy can. He's got to go out here in a minute. But what about tiny rifle, giant scope on it? So you get yourself a little tiny rifle. They're super inexpensive, $79 often, especially if you get one off somebody doesn't want anymore because the kid doesn't like the small length of pull. And then you get way too big of a rifle or scope for it. Not only are they super fun to shoot, but they look super awesome. Oh, let me turn some lights on.
Those are the Cricket, right?
This one is I think it is KSA. Is that Cricket? Yeah, Keystone Sporting Arms. So this one is, I guess it's a Cricket technically, but this one is their polymer 22 Magnum stainless steel. So I'd like to get a chrome optics for it. But that's pretty much the biggest optic I've gotten. It's broke, but it looks cool in there. And it's super fun to shoot, just like overkill. Anyway, and then I've got more, but this was the beginning of a collection of just playing around with $79 guns back in the olden days. But then think about all the things you can do to a hunting rifle and then apply it to a $79 little 22 fun gun. And then it's a place to retire all your old optics to. Or it's a home for old optics, like this one that died on a real rifle. This is a fancy BSA. You ever had a BSA Hunter?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, I haven't.
BSA Deer Hunter.
So what, broke it won't hold zero, or?
It probably won't show up, but the reticles just broke under 300 Win Mag. No, 300 super short Win Mag. You ever felt the kick out of a 300 super short Win Mag? Too much for BSA.
The guy I work with has a 300 short. He told me he hit a deer in the chest and it gutted the deer. So he ended up this year, he bought 240, just something lighter that wouldn't destroy what he's shooting.
And then think about that. That's all going into your shoulder. Like, they're abusive. They make them, but I don't know what my friend was thinking.
So if you're up in the morning, check out the Early Bird Chat with Gizzard Gary and sometimes George. It's coming up in a couple hours, and the Wednesday chat coming up Wednesday, and then the 31st is the next overnight. We'll be doing some giveaways and some other stuff. Hopefully have some fun. But oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to, what was I doing? There we go. I wanted to stop that. So check out the Gilded server, the overnight Gilded server. Come hang out with us. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the night.
You still here? It's over. Go home. No.